All right, thank you and everyone for joining the Internet of Value Foundation New York, episode 191, Platonic Space of Cognition and Our Journey Onward. I hope everybody who joins the space and listens in the future finds this information as valuable as I know I do. Every single day I get to host these spaces and have the speakers on the panel that get to join and the diverse amount of mindsets and perspectives that get shared here. Let me send some invites out, get some people up here. It's a particular video actually that the title is from today, speaking about uh, the belief of this platonic space or this quantum metaphysical layer, the esoteric nature behind, the building blocks of what we perceive to be reality, and looking at it as a construct, right? And through the interactions of these constructs, this manifold that which manifests itself into, the reality we see with the mathematics and physics we do. And of course, it's not specifically by Michael Levine. He posted the video. This is actually video is from Gordana Dojig. And she is from my understanding, a researcher in biology, and she's really trying to, and she did in this particular video. If Shellfish, if you're able to go and post it up top, for some reason it will not let me post the video up top in the space right now. She goes into the very various amounts of scientific and esoteric research that we have today, and then breaks it all the way down into mathematical plausibilities based off of the knowledge we have of computational systems. And her work was just, I think, phenomenal, the things that she did on that video. It's not a crazy long video. I mean, it's 45, 50 minutes, and it is definitely a high level one where she's going from slide to slide, uh, going into the different various tool sets that she believes have been developed, which have led us down this ability to start to finally articulate what they're describing as the cognitive Platonism, sorry if you will, um, the understanding of taking the esoteric and mathematically being able to analyze and then build from there. And so, Shellfish, are you able to
I
get that
just
video?
sent it twice. I'm not sure if it's just a lag. So we'll see if it connects. If not, I can put it in the little pill below.
Oh yeah, you know what? I could definitely do that. I mean, it'll let me do that for sure. Yeah, for oddly enough, when I click on the arrow up top, it doesn't have an option for the space today, and I'm assuming that's probably because of the way I hosted it there for whatever reason. Let me double check again. Yeah, let's see. I can send you the. Do you know what video I'm talking about, right now? I posted it yesterday.
Yeah, I hit it twice, so I'll just copy and paste it into the purple pill for
Did it give
you.
you the option to click on the space's name when you clicked on that arrow?
Yeah,
Oh,
but for some reason it's not posting it. There may be a lag. I'm not quite sure.
yeah, you would think it would be a lag. You're right. Where is that thing? All right, that's cool. I already posted the video down at the bottom of Purple Pill as well, just in case anybody wants to give it a watch. But I highly recommend it. It's a great video, and she's highly intelligent. And so, some of the key factors that I took from this video, and of course, anybody in the audience, feel free, you guys, if you want to hit the request and come up, I'll send a couple invites out again. And if you guys have any comments or thoughts that you'd like to make on the video, if you've seen it, suggestions and or just comments about the information, because this space I'm hosting today is really primarily to try and get some attention to not only the work that Michael Levin Levine, sorry, does, which is incredible in its own right, but her ability to take all of the work that has been done from various sectors and industries and to kind of say, we're going to put it all together here, right? We want to see this unified theory of everything, which, if you're in the physics industry, it's been something that's been being talked about more and more. It's being highlighted as people are trying to discover what they feel like is the theory of everything, or the unifying theory of everything. And, so interestingly enough, right? I really liked her description on the conceptualities of hardware in its own right, and the software that operates that hardware, and the contextual give and take pole, if you will, of the cause and effect that comes from the distribution of the way that we see physics itself. And so she said, really interestingly enough, hardware defines the software, right? We generate things that we want to do, right? And we have created material structures and objects to be able to define those interpretations and those articulations. And then she goes on to say, and the software then defines the new hardware. And so I thought that was a really interesting concept where, it takes the acknowledgement that we are attempting to articulate through physical manifestation a representation of what we would like to see done. And through that, of doing what we would like to see done, redefines the structure and material that we will use to then create that cause and effect of the next step of being able to then solve what it is that we so would like to do that has not been solved by the previous steps there. And with that being said, looking at computational systems or biological systems in a computational way, I think is really interesting, especially when you think of something like a Turing completeness, right? Where something Turing complete has a sequential order of operations that could occur, and in some way in its own right could be looked at as what would be like an infinite energy usage system, where of course we have today, right? We look at cellular processes, and so cellular processes are existing in what would be looked at as a parallel means, in which there are multiple processes that are occurring all in parallel with each other to create this existing structure in which we define as an organ or ourselves, of course, further on. But Shelf, you got your hand up, please go ahead.
Yeah, every time I interact with like any of his videos and his guests, I do the same thing that she does. And I love that he pulls all these people into his space and these great minds. Um, and reflecting on what you're talking about, though, I have always said that the same thing is going on with the Ripple D and the validators, the human behind the validator. So the wetware behind the hardware, behind the software, whether it's all the same software that people are installing, you still have the human element or the wetware that is what system are they running, are they bringing the power, are they updating their validator, like all of these little things that shouldn't make too much of a difference on the software, but there really is a human putting energy and effort and consciousness into that software being run, so it's being affected whether it is the same software or not.
I agree from the thought of its role in this essential cause and effect, right, or the effectiveness of the system. I really like this from like an implications conclusion, right, where you think about cognitive Platonism as a bridge to the classical philosophical insights with a contemporary scientific understanding. And that I feel like really grounds the abstract structures in their functional roles, as she had said. And it's really this meaning of defining what structure is as a belief, and then furthering that belief of what we would like structure to be, if not what we want it to be as a belief in there of. Yeah, and so one of my favorite things, of course, probably one of the biggest things that caught my eye in the video as she goes through her processes and steps of different tool sets, mathematical tool sets and proofs, of things that can be already done today to represent these understandings of the statistical mechanics of whatever operation of a system is. She brought up the Ruliad, of course, something that I've done in recent spaces in the past. I have not touched much on 25, but was highlighted many times in the spaces we hosted in 2024. The Ruliad is a tool set that a individual, Stephen Wolfram, has developed, and in his own right had tried to coin it what could be looked at as a mathematical ingenious way to describe what is the theory of everything, or really being able to computationally take a structure that exists within the means of physics and mathematically create proofs behind the what would be the statistical mechanics of that operation of that particular system. And so really, really, simplistic terms, giving us the ability to define what is microscopic that makes up that macroscopic belief of what we see to be as reality and existence. And, of course, going Michael Levine's own thoughts on the Platonic space, and I like really his terminology, right? The Platonic space of minds. If you think about this possible manifestation of what are the building blocks of reality, having a cognitive adherence behind them, then the structure of reality and physics in itself is something that was predefined, which gives us the, of course, structure in which is reality today. And I think if we're able to bridge both classical beliefs and esoteric knowledges, the constituents that benefit from that, our species that benefits from that. The Where we, I think, already are to the technologies that can get developed so rapidly based off of these articulations and architectures are something that we may not even be able to theorize at this moment in time. But we got some other people up. Love, welcome up, and Devon, welcome up to the space, guys. If you'd like to jump in, Love, first, if you have any thoughts or anything you'd like to bring up.
I think you're talking
Is
about
that
Hope,
Hope? Yeah,
right?
I was just about to say. I think that's Hope's
It
account.
is Hope.
Awesome. Hope, welcome to the space. Are you able to speak?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I thought when you kept saying love, I didn't know who you were talking about, and then I realized like you might be saying that AI, blue heart AI, like love underscore ultimate is actually what you meant, and that's why you said love. I've actually never. You're the first person in this moment to actually look at this account, and the first thing that you think to say is love, and that's pretty profound. Talking about connections right there between conscious and unconscious, and subsurface versus deeper, and how things can be perceived from those connections, uh, and how each approach, like each all of us would have maybe said something different because we perceived it differently, because we connect patterns differently. And so I think that that's actually, that accident actually was kind of like really relevant to the current discussion.
Oh man, I love that you said that. And so ironically enough, so one of the bulletins on the conclusion and implications is actually that there is no transcendent pre-written scripts. When scripts exist, they are memory and individual and as individuals and collective cognitive artifacts that steer trajectories within enacted constraint spaces. Sorry about that. I mean, what a greater way for you. Of course, you described it in your own way, but that described that higher level understanding. I love that. But yeah, but if you have any other thoughts or things that you'd love to throw into the conversation so far, please feel free to. Hope.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that that is actually what you're saying about. I mean, I think that's like such a debate, though. I agree that there's like really no like pre-existing scripts. There's just only the scripts that we write in the moment as we're processing data, from our lived experience, our environment, and then the things that were passed down. And then there is I guess if you would consider a pre-existing script, would be two things: some of the genetic code, and then some of the traditional environmental code. And then that is mixed in with, it's kind of like, how do I describe this as an artist way? You have a script as an actor, you've memorized the script that somebody pre wrote, but then in the moment when you get on stage, you can change it and have everyone then change it to bounce into you to go back to the script, but but now you're writing a new script in that moment, but you can stay true to the character because you know so much about what was pre-existing before to be able to do that and still honor that as the new script is being written in that moment on that stage. And in many ways that's kind of like how humanity operates. And that's what, like, when you talk about like computation, it's we prompt it and then we code it, and then it learns from all its data sets, and then it tries to give us back something that it thinks will keep us engaged and be happy. And when it does that, it creates a new script every single time based on pre-existing scripts. And with that, it actually prompts us, and we get our consciousness and unconsciousness inadvertently gets reshaped and rewritten in real time. And then we give that to others as we interact with others. And then a new common script is now traditionally passed forward. And it's happening at constant rates at all times.
Yeah, and one of the interesting thoughts of an implication is so if because I like that you brought up, of course, consciousness. One of those like super like controversial terms, right? But if cognition is all the way adhered to the structure of underlying coherence that actually is the defining structure in which we're thinking we're speaking about being represented at this moment, right? Our particular perceived notion of that moment. There is a really interesting implication on the thought of if there is a Platonic space that is adhering to its structure of belief, which then generates that constant construct of what is reality. Individual consciousness itself may be less of a um, um, maybe if you would say choice or will, and more of an artifact of what is part of the constraints that have been enacted that generates reality in itself. And so it's more like more to that, yes, separation, but one as a whole, and whole as one, even though belief may be separate from what is possibly the reality. We had
Yeah,
Devon up here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so go ahead. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, um, everyone's like, there's a lot of people that feel like their belief system is truth. Like I hear that a lot, like in like especially in spiritual dynamics. But everyone believes that they have that truth. So the belief becomes truth, and then the truth becomes belief, and it's intertwined in everything. And then whichever one like dominates in the populace is what people believe to be the ultimate truth. Um, and it that is ever shifting, and I feel like that's how it is uh, with consciousness. And I think in a lot of ways what was supposed to happen with science, like where you test things out and you try to find out objectively where the information comes out and be willing to change that. But then over time it actually became a belief or a faith system to just like trust those who do it, instead of actually like test things out continuously and say, does that remain to be true? Was it ever true? And what is true? when it comes to the entire scope of the paradigm. But I know you have other people in this space now. I look forward to hearing what they have to say. I do have one question. I haven't seen the video yet, but I did put it in my queue to start because it was put down here in the foundation bubble down below. And what is one thing that you think would be great to keep in mind to spark as I'm watching the video that you really took away with something that would be kind of fun to question as watching the whole experience to bring it back for further conversations later?
I would say the biggest thing that I would take is the acknowledgement of the collective collaboration that has led to what is the understanding of a development that we can possibly be able to bridge an understanding behind a unifying theory of everything.
Copy that. Thank you so much. And Devon and everyone else in speaker mode, it's great to be able to have a chance to listen to your thoughts as well. Shellfish always.
Oh, and I'm glad you're here, Hope. Like, if you get a chance to watch the video and you have any thoughts on it, I mean, this is why I like to host these spaces when I can, and you could always shoot me a message or in the group chats as well. But I think back to that question that you had asked there, because it is so powerful, right? I mean, you're asking about like the potentially why is this significant, and why should it be significant to us as a collective. And I had mentioned the Ruliad beforehand from Stephen Wolfram, and I'm going to touch on it again because I think like being able to say there is a constraint in the physics of reality, and then being able to say, well, we can then mathematically try to use something like statistical mechanics to define every interaction that could happen in whatever one of these physical restraints, whether it be local or far away. um, I think it really gives us just the educational ability to have a represented acknowledgement of understanding of what is occurring and how we can make things occur, whether that be physics, biology, computation. And so it's really like that unifying theory of everything is really a collective educational experiment. Of course, I like to think sometimes we are all egos of the cosmos rediscovering what it means to be. And if that's the case, then maybe this is just the path that we were always destined to go down. But Devon, welcome up, man.
Hey, hey, what's going on? How you doing? I really been trying to catch my footing within the conversation. I joined late, so forgive me. It's been trying to kind of difficult trying to figure out the direction that you were going, and I tried to catch in.
That's okay. This space is more of I'm trying to highlight not only Michael Levin's work, but Levine's work. Having a funny day, but this particular video that I posted and the bubble at the bottom of the space, because unfortunately it will not let me post it up top. Um, Titled "The Platonic Space as a Cognitive Construct" by Gordana Dojiev, and she excellent breakdown she does in bulletin points, breakdowns from different understandings of mathematics to different tool sets that have been developed by whether they be mathematicians and physicists to try and help describe a mathematical understanding behind the ascension of what is this platonic possible space of minds, if you will, the quantum space or the metaphysical layer in which binds reality itself together. And she really goes into a really high level complexity of trying to define each one of these tool sets, where she thinks that they will play roles in the changes of our species and the different types of understandings that we may come about from the in-depth studying and educational understandings of them. And then at the end has a implications conclusion bulletin, and I really just wanted to try and highlight her particular video here so that people could go and give it a watch and possibly follow her as a researcher.
Yeah, you just got me interested. I'll definitely check it out.
Oh yes, it's very interesting. Of course, everything Michael Levine posts is super interesting by itself, but the how important I think that these kind of concepts are going to be in the next 2 to 5 years are extremely important. Just to think of Astro, I think I don't get the name exactly, but there is a new a new entity that's coming about, which has some very interesting philosophers and physicists that are part of it, funded by Jed McCaleb, and their statement is that they are trying to describe the underlying unifying theory of everything. They want to research cognition and consciousness and understand it from a fundamental layer, uh, where it relates to us as a species. And that's just one part of this, right? Like the video I had just mentioned down below, she and all of the tool sets that we have built as a collaborative species together, is what is going to lead to the ability to articulate those knowledges. And I think what's able to be done from those articulations, adding into the thoughts of, like, I had mentioned beforehand, Hope, right? Large language models, or AI, and robotics, taking mathematical proofs and plausibilities of statistical mechanics and using the Roolead to define those spaces in this constraint um, systems, and then taking that and giving those mathematical proofs to an AI that can simulate them, that can then build those materials through robotics. And I think all of these things can happen extraordinarily quick. And so, from material science to you name it, it's going to be these underlying things are going to be able to be done rapid. So yeah, I mean, it was just a quick space. I didn't want to host too long of a space today. I really just wanted to try and highlight her video and give a couple of my own thoughts and bulletins on it. If anybody else has any questions or any last minute closing thoughts, please feel free to, guys, and then I'll probably close up.
Could you give me kind of, before I watch it, your takeaway? Not takeaway, but like, what was the most impactful thing that you saw within the video?
Yeah, I would say the whole video as a whole, um, collectively shows that we have been working on a unifying theory of everything for what feels like possibly up to over 100 years, and we seem to be very close in being able to articulate what is spoken about in the writings of the Veda and the sutras of the Punjabi. These writings that carry esoteric philosophical meanings that have existed for thousands of years, and we are finally starting to actually mathematically and computationally be able to describe what these structures are and what they represent to us. And from that, we can then use them as a understanding of the manifold to essentially enact whatever sort of changes we'd like to see. Go ahead, Hope.
Thank you so much. Uh, I do a quantum physics meetup like once a month, and I usually play like a video at the beginning of it, and then we have a discussion on what was actually played. But this month, there's going to be a presenter, so I'm just going to do it live, and he's going to do his whiteboard, and so everybody will be able to see everything versus just watch it, on their own devices. But I was wondering if, like, maybe for like January, it's the last Sunday of every month. If maybe we could maybe, if that works out this month with going to live, we could do the same thing with your video, and then that way everybody could watch it, and then everybody could have questions on what they're watching together, and then we can rediscuss this, because I feel like this is a really great discussion. And now we're all being introduced to the video. We have time to play with it, but it's also the holidays, so we're going to be with our families. And so if maybe we do it for like January's quantum physics meetup, as because I think this video talks about like how the spiritual is kind of like meeting up with the math and the physics, and as they're trying to come to practical application. So I think this would be a really great discussion of that.
I love it, and if the time permits, I would love to partake in that because I can do whatever I can to try to provide educational basis on questions. So yeah, I love your idea. I love also how you are taking the expansion of what you can do with X spaces, and wow, I just loved that idea by itself. Thank you. This was a great space. I really appreciate you for coming up, Hope and Shellfish and Devon and everyone who came in and listened today. And I hope everybody who listens to this information in the future finds it as valuable as I know I do. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. Happy holidays, happy Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. And look forward to possibly hosting my own space before we hit 2026. Maybe we could talk some XRPL stuff and right before we roll over into the new year. But until then, love you guys, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the night.
Wait,
Night,
Death
everybody.
Ranger,
Oh,
real
Shellfish, go
quick.
ahead.
Hey, I just want to say, I think you had your 2-year anniversary for your IOV Foundation. So I just want to congratulate you on another successful year of IOV.
Thank you very
Instead of the
much.
clapping, there should be confetti right now, balloons.
Ah, you guys are too kind. I appreciate you. I feel like 2025, I definitely did not host as many spaces as I would have liked to, but so be it as life, and you're busy with work and stuff, so it happens. But I hope 2026 we hit it hard. So look forward to seeing everyone there. Not